So, Casey Talks EV here. I'm in my car at the moment, and this is going to be the quarantine self-isolation special. Now, just for future reference, basically the UK has now had a complete sort of blanket ban on anything but essential travel. We all need to stay in our households for at least the coming weeks. My university's also been postponed until further notice, so everything's gone on to classes. And as a result, I'm going to be doing the vast majority of the videos on my driveway, rather than doing any road trip videos that I'll be normally doing. Luckily though, the postal service is working absolutely fine, so today's video will be on a dash cam I've just ordered, the Nextbase 312G, and the next video will hopefully be on the potential sort of accessories and modifications you can do to your ZS EV, or what I've done to my ZS EV. So without further ado, let's get started. So the reason why I bought another dash cam, because actually I had a dual, sort of cheap Amazon dual dash cam that I bought just before picking up the car. The main reason why was because upon actually trying to get footage off the camera, and this was the first time I probably did in the 2 months I owned, there was a tiny bit of an incident that I managed to record on the camera itself. However, unfortunately, I suddenly realised that the vast amount of the audio was clipped. And what would happen is the audio would cut out every second or so. I think what I noticed then was, because it was a dual dash cam and because it was filming both the cabin and the front, what would actually happen is half the audio would go onto the cabin and half the audio would go onto the front. And because they're separate streams, without using a program like Audacity to kind of bridge both together, it would be completely useless to actually get anything meaningful off it. So immediately I returned it back to Amazon. Of course, they've got an exceptional return policy. I would not ever hesitate to contact Amazon if I had any other issues with any of the products I've ever ordered, both personally and through my car and things, but I was still looking for a new dash cam. Now, in the end, I actually took some advice from the forum, the MG ZS EV group, as well as had a look online. And the vast majority of people are using either sort of, as I like to call, industry standard brands like Nextbase, Garmin, or BlackVue. Now, the problem with BlackVue is that, yes, they are exceptionally good, especially in low light conditions or very sort of highly exposed conditions. However, they are very, very expensive. They're probably good value for people such as HGV drivers who need the additional features and would like the extra quality. Certainly, I would never hesitate in my case to go buy one if I needed that. But unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, I guess, I don't really need that sort of functionality. So in the end, it really was down to either a Garmin one or a Nextbase, and the general consensus was Nextbase. So in the end, I purchased the 312G. The 312G is actually directly in the middle of the range. So it goes from the 112 to the 512. There's also G and W, so G stands for GPS and W stands for Wi-Fi. Now, Wi-Fi allows you to take the video off without actually removing SD cards with an app. I didn't really seem to find much use in the feature, not to mention just the G was actually significantly cheaper at the time, so the 312GW cost somewhere around £70–80, whereas the 312G as a film-in is about £50, £55, and I think that's a decent cost saving for a feature that I'm probably not going to use. So in terms of the 312G, it supports 1080p video recording, 1080p 30fps. It also supports 720p 60 and 30. Those are perfectly serviceable, especially the 1080p mode. I will show some sample footage later. In terms of installation, the installation was extremely straightforward. In the end, I didn't buy a Nextbase official hardwire kit. Originally, I was just using a 12-volt socket, and the cable was hidden underneath the floor mats that I bought. But I've now hardwired it in using a unofficial kit off Amazon. The main reason why was, for some reason, the Nextbase kit that is available on Prime explicitly states that it's not supported for the first generation. I have no idea why, but in the end I just didn't want to risk it. Also, because of the current situation, I'm very unsure that Nextbase would be able to give me the correct fuse holder. And in the primed example, which I bought, the best thing about it was it came with all of the adapters that I needed and the one that fit the ZSEV. So I will put a link in the description. In terms of the actual sort of grounding points, that was dead easy. I'll put a photo up here of the finished result. Cable management was dead easy as well. The reason why is because the headlining actually has almost a cutout just for putting dash cams in, and you can really easily route it through the pillar and into the fuse box, which is in the passenger side on the right-hand drive models. So in the end, it's so dead easy to install. I installed it within about half an hour. Just make sure you disconnect the battery before you do so, just to avoid any sort of problems with, I don't know, accidentally sparking or grounding, etc., and then you're good to go. The one thing that I did notice though was, I don't know whether it was just explicit or whether there was a genuine reason for this, but I did notice that a lot of people may have not installed it onto a fuse that is always active. Certain controls obviously turn off when the car is completely off and locked. Things such as the windows, obviously electric windows, the sunroof, basically the heated seats, etc. And in the end, what I did notice, however, is that you can still electrically adjust the seat position. And as a result, I just used the piggyback fuse onto that particular one. So it's a 30 amp one, and I know it's quite a lot more compared to, like, say, a 5 or 10 amp, and the Hardwire kit only uses a 5 amp fuse, but it seems to work absolutely fine. But yeah, pretty much dead easy installation, and next I'll be just going over some of the footage that I've taken from the camera from day and night. So in this section, I'm just basically going to play you a couple clips of both night and day use, and basically explain to you why it's very important to get a proper dash cam made from places like Nextbase, Garmin and BlackVue, etc. There may be a few other brands that I may have missed that make really good dash cams, but really, I mean, I'm going to stick with the sort of the big industry players at the moment, I guess, for any dash cams I may need in the future. Hopefully I'm keeping this car for a few years, so realistically I'm not going to be in a position to need to buy another one, but the next one's definitely going to be some form of Garmin or Nextbase, etc. So at the moment I'm playing a video of it in the day. So this is me just going into Bridlington. The most important thing I've noticed by a long shot is how good the video is when I pause it. Now, you may think, why on earth would I need to pause a video? But the reason why is because, let's say I want to read the reg number of any particular vehicle. If I do that, I can clearly see that the number plate of a particular vehicle. Now, the problem with my previous dash cam that I used to have in the ZSEV was it was very blurry when you pause the video. Now, I don't know what it's called. I think it's something to do with either progressive or interlace scanning of the video itself or the stream. But basically, it was damn right impossible to actually be able to decipher any sort of number plate when the video was paused. The only way that you would be able to really do that is if you actually watch the video and try to figure out what the reg number actually said. This becomes in my opinion, quite a big problem, especially if you do need it for instant reporting. You do need it because you may have had a hit and run, and you need to be able to read the number plate to give to the authorities and things. So I think at the moment, after seeing some of the footage that has come off this camera, I think I made a fairly reasonable choice buying, well, first of all, a Nextbase camera, but second of all, buying the 312G. By the way, the G just means GPS, so you can have it on the watermark at the bottom, as you can see, where you can have your number plate, the GPS coordinates. You can also have the speed, but I've disabled that function, and the time and date. Another striking difference is actually when you go into night footage. So with night footage, the same principle really applies. Now, Now, obviously, because it's less light, it's sometimes a little bit more difficult to read number plates and sometimes the exposure. And you can play around with those settings, by the way. In this case, I think the exposure is set to -1. But sometimes it is a little bit difficult to read. But you should still be able to have a look at well, be able to decipher the number plates. I don't know whether YouTube compression and things is going to make a huge difference to this, but take it from me, basically, you should, it'll be a lot more clearer compared to some of the other sort of Amazon no-named alternatives that you can buy. And generally, you just get a very good picture. Now, unfortunately, there's some bird droppings on my windscreen as well, I've just noticed, but the point still stands. You get a very, very clear picture from these type of dash cams, and I think they're worth every penny, especially given that the price range for this one is, I think I may have already said it, but it's somewhere around £50 to £60. Now, in the end, I didn't really think it was necessary to go buy the second generation, because it was quite a bit more expensive, as well as the 312GW with Wi-Fi, so you don't need to take off the card. Personally, I don't really see a convenience benefit from that, and it was somewhere around £80 as well. So in the end, buying this particular camera, I think, was a very good choice. I'll leave a link in the description for the camera, as well as the Hardwire kit. If you don't already have a dash cam, especially now with all the insurance fraud that's going on, I really highly recommend that you go purchase one. You know, £50 to save, you know, you're losing an insurance claim, which, you know, especially if the accident wasn't your fault, or you just want to prove, you know, I guess it's quite, a small price to pay. So anyway, so yeah, that's basically it. My next video is hopefully going to be either I don't know whether the restrictions are going to be lifted. If so, I would love to do a WLTP type video, so testing the range out. I know it's a little bit colder than what they currently test, but it is genuine real world conditions. But it's not complete motorway, it's not complete motorway long distance driving, it is genuinely mixed. Or the next video is going to be a couple things like what I've bought for the car in terms of accessories and sort of, I guess, modifications I've done to the car. So anyway, be sure to like and subscribe and share the video if you want, and talk to you later.